Welcome, Rohith. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Deepak. Yeah.
Okay. Can you please tell where you're from and when did you decide to come overseas?
So I'm basically from Kerala, the state of Kerala in India. I was born there, but I did my schooling and education in a different state, Tamil Nadu. And I came to Australia in 2018. So that's when I was almost 30 years old.
So what did motivated you to come to overseas? Was it always a plan that you want to come overseas, or what influenced it?
Yeah, so myself and my wife, both of us are from an IT background. So we both did computer science degrees. We got into an IT company. We worked in Bangalore. So whenever you hear from people who work in an IT company in Bangalore, the dream is always to go overseas.
Go overseas, okay.
So both of us, we actually tried going to the US because both of us work for a US-based client.
Correct.
So 2012, 2013, we were actually applying for visas to go to the US, but the US didn't want us. They rejected the visa. And so we left that dream aside, and then we moved back to Kochi in 2017. We wanted to settle down there again in IT jobs.
Yeah.
But eventually, what happened was my wife couldn't land any project work in Kochi based in the banking domain because that's her experience.
Correct.
And I kind of told her that she can look for opportunities outside or overseas as well. And she applied for a job based in Australia. That was 2017. And then she got the visa in 2017 November. And we waited 6 months for an opportunity to come. And then we came here in June 2018.
But tell me something about that process. So when you decided you want to come here, so to finding what sort of visa you want, how did that process went, and did you took any help from anyone?
So for coming here to Australia, everything was done through the organization.
Okay.
So she applied for the visa through her organization, and all the process was actually through the organization. We only provided the necessary documents that were required. In fact, I came in as a dependent. So the main applicant was my wife, and I was a dependent. So that process was quite straightforward because the organization will give you the list of all the documents that you need to keep ready, and you just upload it into their system, and they actually applied through the system. So that's how it worked for us.
So financially, there wasn't any trouble with that because you applied work and they just
except for the English language test, which we had.
You still have to do that as well.
Yes, so we had to do that because we didn't actually anticipate that we will be coming to Australia. So obviously we had to work that out, and we paid that from our pockets. But other than that, everything else was sponsored by the organization.
So in 2017,
November is when we got the visa.
Yeah. So which part of Australia did you came?
So we came to Sydney first.
Sydney, okay.
Yeah, because that was where the client was, and that was where the work opportunity was. So we came to Sydney first.
Sydney, okay.
Yeah.
So just describe the initial, say 6 months. How was your when you landed? Did you have any place to live? How did you manage all those things, accommodation and traveling and everything?
So I think the first thing that hit us once we landed in Sydney was we didn't have anybody to accompany us. We didn't have internet, in the sense that you just came there and then you thought you'll figure it out, or somebody else will be here to help us out. But that was not to be. In fact, when I got into the taxi, the first thing I remember was, I don't have internet, but I remember the address of where we needed to go to. And then I just said it to the taxi driver, and he happened to actually put it into the system, and then he found the address. That's how we first were able to manage to find where we were going to stay. For almost 1 month, we were staying in shared accommodations before we actually found a permanent place in a place called Epping.
How did you find that shared accommodation? Did you research back home, or when you came here, then you started looking for it?
So I had a relative in Sydney. Because we landed on a weekday, they weren't able to come to receive us. So they came the next day, and for almost a month, they actually really helped us and supported us. And through them, we were actually exploring different suburbs where it's easier for my wife to get to work. So finally, we ended up in a suburb called Epping. That's where we found a permanent sort of an accommodation. Yeah.
So tell me something about because your wife was here for a work, so she had a job.
Yeah.
What about your employment? How did you manage to get employment, or was it easy, or was it hard?
It was quite hard, especially because many people who I spoke to, they said it's very hard to find a job in the Australian IT industry, mainly because you don't have local experience. So when I came here, I was remotely working for my organization back in India still for almost a couple of months. Like we came here in June, I worked for them until August. And then I decided that this is a new place. I need to explore the opportunities here. And then I started applying for a lot of jobs. But then eventually, only a few calls I received. The first question they used to ask was, "Do you have any local experience?" And I had to say no.
No, absolutely.
And then they immediately used to sort of hang up the call and say, "Okay, good luck with finding another job." But eventually, I landed a job which I joined the organization in September 2018, and that was purely luck because the recruiter, they were actually searching for a business analyst, and I'm a business analyst by profession.
Yeah.
And they lost my sort of profile somewhere. They had to dig it up from their email. So for almost a month, it was just sitting in their email box. They suddenly had an opportunity, and then they called me. So it was quite hard, but once I landed that first job, everything changed.
The things become easier.
Yeah, became easier. Correct.
So let's talk about some cultural shocks, language barriers. Was there any of those things happen to you when you were here, like for initial 6-7 months?
I think from a cultural shock perspective, the language wasn't a barrier. I should say that because we've been working in the IT industry for quite a while. So almost 10 years before we moved here. So we were working for US-based clients. When I say we, myself and my wife, both of us, right? So English was not a problem. So we anyways had interactions with our own colleagues offshore and onshore colleagues in English.
Which
so that was
always helped you.
Yeah, that was not a problem. But once we came here, the Australian slang, the Australian accent was always difficult and hard to catch.
Bit of
I still remember in my very first organization, my very first client, we had a client offsite. Most of them were Aussies, and I was probably the only Indian in the group.
Correct.
And they were all cracking some jokes, and I was absolutely
not able to understand half of them.
No way to understand what they were saying. I was just laughing along with them, just fake laughing because I didn't understand. And thankfully, my client manager, he understood that I'm new and he kind of explained the joke. So that was a bit of an embarrassing situation. But other than that, no cultural shock as such. But the way I thought it was different was the Indian community here. It really gave me a surprise because the people that you know back in India, they were completely different when they come here. And they were more Aussie, or they were trying to forcibly become more Aussie than the Aussies
up
here. Right?
Correct.
So that's a big realization I had.
So in terms of your visa, you said your wife came for a work visa. So when did that work visa change into a permanent residency or citizenship?
Yeah, as luck would have it, the organization that I landed the job with, for almost 6 months after working for them, I mustered up the courage to go and ask them, "Can you sponsor me PR?" And I was going in there anticipating that they will say no, because normally all the good things doesn't come easy. But then to my surprise, my boss's boss, so he was the one who should make that decision. He said yes the first time I asked,
that's good.
And I had to ask him the second time whether he really said yes, and then that's how the journey started. So this was in 2019. March 2019, but it almost took 6-7 long months for the organization to give all the documents that is necessary in order to apply for the visa. So we applied for the visa in October 2019 and got the permanent residency in December.
So it was a sponsorship based. Did you know this visa subclass or anything?
Correct. 186. It is 186. Company sponsored visa.
And so it was in Sydney.
It was in Sydney.
So when did you move to Brisbane then?
So we moved to Brisbane in December 2021. And it was a conscious decision because Sydney, I think from a health point of view, we were not doing very good. As a family, we were actually struggling to go through winter because we were used to subtropical climate. And then obviously property was another big concern.
Very,
So
very expensive.
doesn't matter how much you try to save, there is
Absolutely.
always going to be that shortfall. So we thought it's better to move to a different place for health and for affording property.
Okay, so when did you move? 2022?
2021 December.
2021 December. Can you tell about your family dynamics? Do you have any kids, or how's your
Yes,
family? Yeah.
I do have two kids. My son, who's 10 years old, in
Oh,
year
yeah,
five,
that's good.
daughter, 8 years old, year three. But when they came here, they were 3 and 1.5 years old.
Also, your kids came with you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they were born in India and then they moved here. Oh, that's
correct,
beautiful.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after living for such a long time, did you find any, so when you go back to India, do you find any difference here and there in terms of, cost of living or living standards or anything?
Absolutely. I think from a cost of living perspective, Australia is way more expensive than
Okay.
India, is what I felt, especially with affording daycare. Like when
Yeah,
we came here with the work visa, there was no subsidy from the government. So
absolutely.
literally one person's salary went to
To
the
the,
daycare
yes,
because I had two
absolutely
kids
correct.
who I needed to put through daycare. So
Absolutely.
outrageously expensive is what I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And then property, of course, is also very expensive. Income tax is another. It's, Australia is one of the top 10 countries in terms of
Yeah, yeah.
the income tax that they charge you. But on the flip side, on the positive side, what I felt is a lot of the good things that we actually get, like from a workplace point of view, the ethics and standards are very high. The
Absolutely true.
opportunities are
Correct.
very good. The schooling system, the public and the private schooling systems are
Yes.
really good here. And I think public transport or recreational facilities and or
Absolutely.
parks and all of that, cleanliness, really good
Yeah. So
in
pretty
terms
much in
of,
a way, whatever we're paying in taxes, you can see that
you can
it's,
see that it's being put
it
to good
put
use.
to good use. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. So do you have any long-term plans? Like you always want to live here now, or do you think eventually once the kids are grown up, we retire, we want to go back to India and live there?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
So I think when we came here, we only came here thinking that maybe spend a couple of years, make some money, go back home,
Yeah.
settle down there. But eventually, after we came here, a couple of years into living in Australia, we realized how good this place is, even
Yes.
though you have all these factors about being very high in terms of expense and all of that. The children got used to the culture.
Absolutely.
Got used to the culture. I mean, there is high respect for all of us, even though we have all kinds of issues that's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on. We still see that it's very respectful, this place. And that's when we started thinking, is there a life back there in India for us to,
Yes.
because we need to start over again, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and then we decided maybe for the kids it's better to be here because the
Yes.
education standards are high
Absolutely.
and they have better opportunities
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And we also thought opportunities are better for us here. And then finally we decided to become Australian citizens last year.
Okay,
So
that's beautiful.
from a permanent point of view, we'll probably not be going back
Back.
anytime
Okay.
soon. Even if we did decide that probably might be after retirement, we might think.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
So before we finish, with from your journey, do you want to give any advice to the younger generation or anyone who wants to come from India to overseas?
Yeah.
What would be the easier way, or what sort of preparation they should do to make their transition bit easier? Like how you when you landed and you have no place to go. So
Yeah.
can they do anything better so that their journey becomes a little easier?
Yeah. I think it's important to keep an open mind and not get bogged down by all the negativity that is being spread.
Yeah.
This is a land of opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
So be open and flexible about what you're getting. It doesn't mean that when you come from an IT background, you anyways have to land a job in IT. That's not how things work here
Absolutely. Yeah.
sometimes. So just be patient. Take up anything that comes your way.
Correct.
Persevere and then work towards your goal. For me, the important bit was when you come here without any help or anything, it's better to actually have a little bit of a planning that you want to do.
Yes.
Like if you're a student, right, you need to know which is going to give you the best outcome in terms of
Correct.
your pathway to become a permanent resident here. So maybe
Absolutely.
your intention is to be a permanent resident here. Then make sure you plan for it, you engage with the right people, and do your research as well.
Yes.
Because it's important that you don't follow somebody blindly and,
Yeah.
and just hear what they say and then jump into it.
Correct.
It's important to do your research
Do your
as
own
well,
research, yes.
understand, and then work towards that pathway, right? So
Absolutely.
that's more important. So that's what I felt would help you.
Definitely. And before finishing, so throughout our journey from India to here, there's always some people who have supported us or motivated us to take this decision of coming to overseas.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone who you want to say thanks from your end,
Yeah.
you can say that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, my parents
Yeah.
for believing in me, for giving me the opportunity to,
Yeah.
complete my education. Because without my dad and mom fighting for me, I don't think I
Absolutely.
would be in this position sitting here. And then obviously my wife for having faith in me, because she was the one who actually
Correct.
got the
Absolutely.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
But then she also had to put that faith in me to take care of the kids, because we were
Absolutely.
all alone here. So we
Yes.
had to someone had to take care of the kids when my wife was working. So she had that faith in me. So I really actually appreciate her standing by me and having that faith in me. And then obviously for my managers for giving me the opportunity, because
Cheap.
without that work opportunity, I think I might be back in India, and probably my life would be better in India as well.
Of
But
course, of
you
course.
never know.
Yes.
But without those opportunities, I would never be here. So I would like to thank them as well, and my kids for, even through all that uncertainty,
Yes.
they never left our side. They always were there with us, even though we had to change schools, change
Absolutely.
locations. They left behind their friends. So
Yeah.
I really thought that they also
It'll
stood
be,
by
yes,
us,
of
and
course, of
and
course.
and so my kids as well. So yeah.
No. Now, thank you very much, Rohit, and thank you for giving your special, precious time for the podcast.
Thank you so much, Deepak.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
having
Thank
me.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in for today's episode. Do not forget to subscribe, share, and like Brisbane Talks.